Hello everyone, my name is Alfonso-Aguilar, and today I'll be presenting on the crime of arson. Now I'm going to walk through three main points: the history of arson, why arson is considered a crime, and the appropriate punishments for it. Then at the end, I'll show you how all that comes together with a short example of a closing argument in an arson case. Without further ado, let's get the show on the road. History of arson. Arson is one of the oldest crimes in human history. It goes all the way back to the Code of Hammurabi, written around 1750 BCE, where burning down homes or fields were punishable by death. Ancient societies understood early on that fire is powerful and dangerous. When someone uses it intentionally, it becomes a weapon. In ancient Rome, fires were so common and so destructive that strict laws were created to punish anyone who started them on purpose. As time went on though, Europe and eventually into early American law, arson remained a major public threat. Even though technology has changed, one thing has stayed the same. Intentionally setting a fire is one of the most destructive acts a person can commit. Now, why is arson a crime? Arson is a crime because it creates extreme danger for human life, property, and the community as a whole. One intentional fire can destroy an entire home, kill occupants, endanger firefighters, and spread to neighboring buildings. It's not just property crime, it's a violent, dangerous act. There are four main reasons why the law takes arson so seriously. The very first reason is the threat to human life. A fire can spread faster than most people can escape. Firefighters also risk their lives entering burning structures. Second would be the destruction of property. Arson often causes hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of dollars in damage. Third, arson creates fear and instability. It has been used historically as revenge, terrorism, intimidation, and insurance fraud. And the fourth would be intentionally setting fires to overwhelm public resources, fire departments, police, and investigators. Their goal is to respond immediately to save lives and contain the damage. For all these reasons, arson is created as a serious felony. Now let's talk about the appropriate punishments for arson. Punishments for arson depend on how dangerous the fire was and whether any people were inside the building. We have first-degree arson, which usually involves an occupied building. This can lead to at least 10 to 25 years in prison, and sometimes life, if someone is injured or killed. Then we have second-degree arson, which involves unoccupied structures. These sentences often range from 5 to 15 years. Then we have third-degree arson, which involves smaller fires or attempts to start one, and this level typically ranges for about 1 to 5 years. In addition to prison, courts can require restitution, therapy, or fire-setting treatment programs, probation, and extra charges like insurance fraud if the fire was set for financial gain. Punishments is based on intent, risk to human life, and the amount of damage caused. Now that I've explained the history of why arson is a crime and the punishments involved, I'll end with an example of how I would deliver a closing argument in a real arson trial. Without further ado, let's cue the lights. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, for thousands of years, societies have punished arson because one person with a flame can endanger an entire community. In this case, you heard clear evidence that the fire was intentionally set multiple points of origin, gasoline residue, a newly increased insurance policy, and a timeline that places the defendant at the home minutes before the flames erupted. This is why arson is criminalized. It is deliberate destruction, it is dangerous, it is selfish, and it puts lives at risk. The punishment for arson is severe because the consequences can be catastrophic. History tells us this crime is ancient. The law tells us it must be punished. And the evidence in this case shows that the defendant intentionally set the fire for financial gain. For those reasons, I would ask you to return a verdict of guilty. Thank you for watching my presentation. This completes my overview of the history of arson, why it is a crime, its punishments, an example of also a closing argument. Thank you for your time. And for that, I yield back.